We made it.
Oh, did we? Yes.
Well,
So glad we made it.
it depends on what you want to call as making it.
Here is relative.
That's true. That's true. The stream's a little behind, so I was just admiring the scenery there.
Right?
It's what a gorgeous game. So
It
good.
really
It is.
All right, so can you guys can hear me okay, right?
Oh yeah.
Everyone in the chat, can you hear me okay? Yes, no, maybe so. Vampire
Maybe
Jesse
so.
is gone. Yes, Vampire Jesse. Daniel threw me a razor down in the basement, so.
That was the reason I threw it. It was for.
Wow.
What? Who's throwing razor blades around? Not this guy.
So, I think we're all ready. Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Welcome to episode 153 of the Hylian Gamescast. Today, we're going to be talking about a weird little software update that Nintendo can apply to the Switch to sort of give it somewhat better graphics. And there's some misinformation about that I want to talk about. We have the Wii U 3DS games are going to be ending on the eShop. Daniel surprised me and the rest of the world by getting permission from 𝗟𝗵𝗃 himself to announce the release date from Majora's Mask.
That's right.
Oh,
That was all me. I wish.
And yeah, what else is there, Daniel? You had some of your own stuff that you added.
Well, that was two of them. Majora's Mask release date, Wii U and 3DS eShops closing next year. Retro Studios posted what some believe might be some concept art for Metroid Prime 4 on Twitter. And the Kitt Krysta podcast exists now, meaning I totally called it when we were speculating about them leaving Nintendo and what they were going to do next. So those were kind of some of the good old goodies to discuss.
All right. Do you want to, since you're the one with the permission here, do you want to get started with the Majora's Mask?
Oh, yeah. So Nintendo sort of shadow dropped. It wasn't even that long ago, actually. How long ago did they post this trailer? Hold on. It
2
was like
seconds.
It was 1 hour ago.
Yeah,
I was close.
I was
1
literally
hour
at
ago.
work and I got a
Yeah.
ping.
1 hour ago they posted it. They finally announced the release date for Majora's Mask coming to Nintendo Switch Online, and I'm surprised they didn't announce it in the Direct last week. But oh well.
Me too.
Yeah, right. Just like they could have given it. But
I
the
expected at
trailer
least
they posted-
that.
Yeah, like just a release date or something.
Because
But
they were like, Zelda gets its own thing.
Yeah, that's fair. The trailer is gorgeous, though. It's a beautifully cut trailer. I think it does a really good job of kind of capturing what the game's about in that trailer. And the music is really wonderful, and it's just a really well put together trailer. I got a little emotional watching it. And from the footage in the trailer, I can confirm that the game seems to be running better than Ocarina of Time did at launch on NSO, because they show some clips of different areas in the game, including like in the swamp and in the Lost Woods and the intro, and the fog is there. It's there and working. And that's great. That's such good news. So yeah, it's just really exciting to see that Nintendo's got that working, because so much of Majora's Mask's ambience and atmosphere would be lost if it had the same issues that Ocarina of Time did. So this might be, depending on how, well, we haven't played it, so we can't speak to the emulation or anything. Depending on how that emulation is, this might end up being the best way to play Majora's Mask.
But what about the remake?
No.
We don't talk about that, Jesse. Don't. You know better than anyone not to get me started. So.
Was it? We
Unless
don't
you
talk
want
about that now.
2 very heated, angry people.
Yes. But besides save states, it's gonna let us play Majora's Mask with save states, and that's a big deal, I think,
Oh
for
yeah.
how stressful that game can be by design, I'll say.
The time
Um,
mechanics.
yeah, totally. Like, so save
Hmm.
save
The
states
thing where you
are
stop and
big.
you can go back.
You save the game and then you can reload it. That's gonna be a big thing, I think. It's gonna be awesome. So, um, yeah. So and I'm partial to the N64 version, and so like I don't think that they need to do much to change the game to improve it. So just putting it up on Switch and that in its old 64-bit glory, just throwing save states in there, I'm totally fine with that. I'm gonna play it. Absolutely. Hmm. Yeah. Any other thoughts, Jesse, Geek?
Did you notice any fixes that could, because they updated Ocarina of Time? Did you
Mhm.
notice any fixes with Majora's Mask that weren't noticeable with Ocarina?
The thing is, it's hard to say because we haven't played the game. It comes out on February 25th. I didn't say that, so that's next Friday. But until we actually play the game, like it's going to be impossible to say beyond what I saw in the trailer. Like, um, all I got is that the fog is there and it's working, and the game looks pretty much how I remember it. Whereas Ocarina of Time, like it was very noticeable right away that like the game was sort of someone had turned the contrast up and taken out the fog a bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think Majora's Mask needs to be a muddy, dark, broody kind of game.
Yeah.
That's the kind of game it is. So
You need to turn the
yeah.
brightness on your TV all the way up just to barely be able to see it. That's how it should be.
That's as it should be. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a dark game by design. So yeah, I'm really happy to see it. I'm excited. I'm excited for next week. Even though I'm totally juggling like a lot of games already. So
Oh yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I'm still not done Pokemon, so oops.
That's okay. Do you have anything else to say about Majora's Mask, Geek?
Mostly that I'm just excited. I still haven't even opened Ocarina of Time on mine, and that's because I'm hoping next year with my schedule, not to get too off track, that um famous last words, that I'll have a schedule that permits streaming more than one day a week on my channel, because right now I'm doing Twilight Princess HD, but I'll definitely, if I don't finish it, gonna have to stop when Kirby comes out, and I haven't even bought Legends Arceus, whichever you prefer. And then I'm like, everyone was like, oh, I thought you were going to play Ocarina of Time. And I was like, no, I've been teasing Twilight Princess for like a year and a half. But then I played Skyward Sword instead, which I'm glad I did. But then after, so it's like, we got Twilight Princess and then Kirby. Maybe eventually I'll do Legends, but I also want to do Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. And then I have to finish Breath of the Wild. My one promise was that I would make sure that I beat Ganon, Beast Ganon, whatever, I can't think straight. Calamity Ganon, excuse me, on stream before Breath of the Wild 2 comes out. And if it's still coming out this year, which I believe it is, that's going to have to be soon. But I do have summer where I don't work as much. So that's the hope.
There you go.
So my thought is I'm super excited, but I don't know when I'm going to be able to stream it. Since I stream one day a week for 2 hours.
Yeah, that's the tricky part. But yeah, I think summer's a safe bet, like you said. I mean, based on what they showed in the direct, I don't think we're getting the game Breath of the Wild 2 before the summer. So,
Yeah.
it's I think that's a safe bet.
And
Yeah.
that's just going to completely suck up our entire lives when that comes out.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Why would it do anything else?
I might take a week off making videos and just stream the game 5 days 5 days straight.
10-hour streams. This is my workday.
Like maybe.
You'd be like, "Oh,
Who
what
knows?
is food? What is the
What is food? Who needs it? Not me. Yeah, no, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
Ren in the chat has a suggestion for you, Daniel. Majora Mondays.
Majora Mondays.
Ooh.
Oh, well, that depends because we've been doing. I didn't this week because I was feeling a little lethargic on Monday. But I mean, I've been doing Poke Mondays. I don't know when I'll be able to finish Pokemon. That game is pretty big, so we'll see. We'll see. I have already streamed Majora's Mask in the past already, so it's a little lower on my priority list.
How about you do a 3-day
Like,
stream
actual
of Majora's Mask?
3-day stream, 3 days of Majora's Mask
Yes.
streams. Actually, that's not a bad
No,
idea.
no sleep for 3 days.
No sleep till I beat
Sounds like it would
Majora's
take
Mask.
72 hours, though. That game doesn't take
Yeah,
72 hours, right?
I think no, it definitely doesn't. I think I
Okay.
know the
I'm
game
like,
front and back well enough as well that I could do it faster.
Could
I
you
didn't
do
know it took that long
100% in
with
3 days?
Skyward Sword.
I have done 100% in 3 days, actually, but it wasn't 3 days straight. So it was throwback story time. We're getting way off track, folks. Sorry. On
That's what the
several
podcast is
years ago,
for.
actually, I think it was 2016. Yeah, it had to have been 2016 because it was the only year I worked there. When I was at Zelda Informer, I did a Majora's Mask video there, and in order to collect the footage I needed, I crunched through and I played through the game 100% and in the span of about 3 days.
Nice.
And yeah, so I just spent on that on top of being a dad and having a day job as well. And I would not recommend it. It was actually kind of brutal. I was kind of done with it for a while after doing that. Yeah, so that was a crunch. So but I mean, if I was doing it now, I wouldn't be juggling the other things as much. So mhm. Yeah, story time over. But yeah, I've done it. Don't recommend. Don't. It's not a game you should necessarily rush. You should rush parts of the game, but not like. Don't try and squeeze it in that short amount of time. Mm-hmm.
All right. So, do you guys know about this new little indie game? What is it? Nintendo Switch Sports.
I've heard about that. They're doing the test thing this weekend, aren't they?
Yeah.
That I didn't sign up for.
So, this is just a quick little update on this game because there was a bit of misinformation going around about it that it would not work on the Switch Lite. And Nintendo Life was one of the few websites that apparently has done some tests or looked into it, and it seems it is going to be able to work.
Interesting.
The Switch Lite on a hardware level isn't actually all that different from a mainline, like a main Switch console. So I don't see
No.
why it wouldn't. Like, even the docking function of the Switch is actually disabled on the software level, not the hardware level. And also it can't physically fit in the dock. But I mean, if you were to like have like if you gutted your dock and just took the components and put it in, it's just the Switch's software knowing it's a Switch Lite that's preventing it from docking to the TV. So I don't see why it wouldn't work on Switch Lite if it works on other Switch models.
Yeah,
There's no reason to.
I don't either. Apparently, it was
Mhm.
a mistake on Nintendo's part. Actually, this says an online playtest takes place this weekend, although it's one you can't talk about freely. Apparently, I don't know what that is. But one aspect that hasn't been widely publicized is the fact the game cannot be played on the Switch Lite, or more accurately, the game doesn't support handheld mode, only tabletop and TV mode, according to Nintendo's official site. And then there's an update saying we've tested Nintendo Switch Sports on the Switch Lite with some Joy-Con. You can download the playtest app now, but you can't actually get into any games. And it does seem to be another case of Nintendo being overly cautious here to avoid disappointment. You can use Joy-Con to play Nintendo Switch Sports on the Switch Lite, but it naturally won't be the preferred approach to play. Nintendo's perhaps keen to make sure this is experience on a big screen TV with plenty of room for Joy-Con swinging, and not on your dining room table with the Switch Lite popped up on a pile of books. So, yeah. Interesting little correction there. I know there are there are some games that can only be played in handheld mode and not on the TV. There was one, I forgot the name of it. It was a port of a PlayStation Vita game where you have to use the touchscreen to play, and that's how you move and everything. and
Oh,
like it's the opposite of what this would have been, where it didn't, or at first they thought it wouldn't allow handheld mode play, but the opposite, where it wouldn't allow TV mode. That's weird.
interesting.
But, yeah, I guess this whole thing would be about the same as like if you're trying to play ARMS with Joy-Cons in like tabletop mode.
Right. Wouldn't be very fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another news story that kind of goes along with this because apparently Switch Sports is a game that's using it. From Nintendo Life, Nintendo could be using AMD's Fidelity FX Super Resolution to boost Switch performance. With the Nintendo Switch still going strong in terms of sales, momentum, popularity, Nintendo and various third parties continue to utilize its mobile technology for the best possible results. There's little doubt that meeting 2022 expectations and visuals and performance will be a challenge for the system, but an interesting license related to the upcoming Nintendo Switch Sports points to a potential avenue for Nintendo to maximize the hybrid's capabilities. As spotted by NWPlayer123 in the test version download of Nintendo Switch Sports, the game is utilizing a license for AMD's Fidelity FX Super Resolution technology. This is actually open source and free to use, but monetized projects still need to acknowledge its use in license pages like those below. But right now, Nintendo seems to be just utilizing it in this particular game, but if the results are good, it's not conceivable that it could be used in other projects. Yeah, so basically it's a way for it to enhance the resolution without actually rendering it in a higher quality, using AI to boost the resolution.
Weren't we talking about this kind of DLSS AI upscaling like
Yes.
months ago? That this is how Switch could achieve like sort of a pseudo 4K output, that kind of thing. Like, yeah, like I want to say it was like almost a year ago now or something. We were
Yeah.
talking about this. Maybe it wasn't that long ago, but yeah, we definitely have talked about them potentially doing that before. So it's interesting.
Yeah, it's odd because it's made with NVIDIA parts and NVIDIA makes it, but as I said, AMD is open source, which means, or the AMD software is open source, so any chip theoretically could use it. But it's just odd that instead of going with one of NVIDIA's own, or NVIDIA making their own like version of it for the Switch, that they're going with the competitor's answer to it.
And whatever works, right? Gets the job.
I just thought it was interesting because when we were talking about that before, there's a lot of people saying Nintendo wouldn't do anything like this. They don't care about graphics, blah, blah, blah. And apparently they do. If they didn't care about graphics, then they wouldn't be releasing new consoles every 5 or 6. They just be like, what's wrong with the Wii?
I wouldn't say they don't care about it. I would say it's just like a second priority to other things, you know? But there is a
to be fun. It
Yeah.
could be the greatest looking game, but if it's not fun,
Do you want to
then
take
what does that matter?
3DS and Wii U eShop closing, Daniel?
Yeah. So Nintendo has announced that the 3DS and Wii U eShops will be closing, but don't worry, they gave us lots of head up because it's going to be closing late March of 2023, meaning you guys have more than a year to spend your hard-earned money on old games from the 80s and 90s on Virtual Console. So yes, after that, you'll actually still be able to re-download games and DLC that you bought but don't have on your console. So it's not like you'll be completely cut off. You just won't be able to actually buy new things. But here's the actual quote from Nintendo's website or their announcement. So this applies to all the Nintendo 3DS family of systems and the Wii U systems. As of late March 2023, it will no longer be possible to make purchases in Nintendo eShop for the Wii U system and the 3DS family of systems. It will also no longer be possible to download free content, including game demos. Furthermore, as this date draws closer, related services will cease to function. So things like, well, not Miiverse because that's done, but probably things like Splatoon's online functionality will probably, Splatoon 1's online functionality will probably stop, that kind of thing. Now, That's the gist of it. The rest is all kind of like fine print stuff that's not really interesting. But a lot of people are really peeved about this, and I kind of get it, but I kind of disagree at the same time. Like the Wii U turns 10 years old this year. The 3DS
Yeah.
turned 10 last year. There are old systems now that have been usurped and superannuated by the Switch. And while I'm all for game preservation, I understand that Nintendo's a business at the end of the day, and they've got to, basically close shop at some point with these old systems like they already did with the Wii. So, like, it makes sense. We had to have seen this coming at some point. And they gave us um like more than a year heads up before cutting off the service. By comparison, I was talking in Discord about this earlier with someone else, and something they mentioned was that PlayStation had done a similar thing with the PlayStation 3 years ago. And the comparison there is they gave a 2-month notice and then closed the shops. There's Nintendo's giving us 13 months
Mhm.
heads up here. And most Wii U games are on Switch now. And a lot of the worthwhile virtual console games, not all, but many of them are on Switch now. And I don't know. For me, it's just like, okay, we have a deadline now. If there's any games left on my wish list that I want to buy, I'll buy them now. Although I've already bought pretty much all the ones I want to buy, but get them now while you can. And like that's it. It's gonna be the end of an era, sure, but like that's how console generations work. That's um, I certainly wouldn't get angry over it. And Nintendo does a better job of preserving old games um, than some other companies do as well, right? So
I
yeah, that's
imagine
my thoughts.
a lot of these people are angry things is just people like I haven't personally seen anyone online angry about it. Like literally no
Mhm.
one at all. So what I think it is just some website used the headline fans are angry because they
Oh,
just
I've seen
assume that
people angry. Oh,
oh
I
you
have. Yeah, like just because Twitter's already like a storm of emotions,
mm,
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like I've definitely seen people angry online about it. And they're like,
okay.
Nintendo's screwing us again. And I'm like, how many of you people even had a Wii U? Like, let's be honest. Like,
Yeah.
just be honest. The Wii U and 3DS were both not great selling systems for Nintendo, which is wild. Like the 3DS did sell many units, but compared to Nintendo's other handhelds like the Game Boy and the DS, it underperformed. And the Wii U, we all know, was a financial failure for Nintendo. So like it does make sense to cut the umbilical cord and let these systems go into their resting place to collect dust on our shelves at some point. It is sad because I think virtual console is pretty great, but a counterpoint I find with Switch Online games, I know there's not as robust a selection as Virtual Console offered, but because it's all under one subscription, I find myself more willing to try out new games on Switch Online because it's there and
Mm.
available without an extra paywall than I was with Virtual Console games on Wii U and 3DS because I was like, do I want to buy this game and then not like it? I don't know. If I'm already paying this subscription and that game is included, yeah, maybe I like. But if it's a game where it's like, okay, do I want to shell out 8, 10, $20 for this game that I don't know very much about just on the off chance that I'm gonna maybe like it, but I don't even really own it because it's like a digital copy. Like, there's so much more hesitancy for me with Virtual Console for trying new games out. I know it's a weird thing, but like with a physical game, if I really don't like it, I can just return it, get a refund, or resell it. You can't do that with Virtual Console.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of pros and cons, I think, that a lot of people are just lashing out emotionally and not actually taking into account like, well, is this a service you're actually still using or did you even use in the first place? And Like Nintendo probably is not seeing a lot of traffic on those services right now. You know.
Yep.
The only
Hmm.
thing I'm sad about is, even at this point, I think it's almost impossible to legally get the Four Swords Anniversary Edition.
Yes. Then there are things like that where it's like, I've missed out on that forever. Which is kind of why I'm a proponent of physical releases of things. If that game was a limited run but a physical release, I could probably find a copy out in the wild somewhere, at like a used game store or something, right? But
Mhm.
yeah, but a limited run digital game, once it's gone, right? Yeah,
There's a lot
and
of the
that's
games that they could potentially bring over to the Switch that are like the indie games and stuff that are on there.
mhm.
Like adapt it in a similar way that they did with like Splatoon 1 that used two screens, and then Splatoon 2 which just utilized the one screen.
Mhm.
They had there's a lot of really good games that required both screens to use, but I feel could work with just a single screen, because most of them is just like the start menu where the items and gear on the second screen.
Right. Or
Um,
like the DS Zelda games, where
yeah,
it's like the map yeah, is the other screen, right? Yeah.
yeah, and they could bring them like on the Wii U. You could play some of the DS Zelda game, or both DS Zelda games. You just turn your gamepad
Mhm.
like sideways, so it's like a tall screen instead of, and it would work
Right.
the similar way on. I guess you would have to play it like that on Switch, because there'd be no other option.
Yeah, I mean, they could adapt. One of my favorite examples is Pikmin 3 on Wii U,
Never heard of
used
it.
both screens. Oh, wow. This is the little Wii U game about little tiny little guys.
Oh, hey
But
Pikmin, yes.
yeah, but Pikmin 3 on Wii U actually made good use of the gamepad and had a lot going on the second screen. And so the Wii U gamepad had like your map, and then had like literal apps that you could like check the status of your Pikmin and what you've collected and stuff like that. And so when they made the jump to Switch, they just made all of that stuff a pause menu. So it just flips to the other screen that would be on the gamepad during gameplay on the Wii U, and it just pauses. And it's funny because it pauses the game already while doing that on, so it just makes sense. And it sort of brings to mind like basically what they did with Breath of the Wild. That was their plan, was to have the map and stuff on the gamepad, and then when the game came to Switch, they just made it a pause menu, and it just yeah, like I understand. I kind of like the dual screen experience. I think there's a lot of cool potential with it, but I find most games don't really use it that well, and it's just like you can just make this a pause menu, and that's probably better, because at least if I'm looking at that second screen and I'm paused instead, I'm not going to get like surprised or by some enemy like ramming into me from wherever. So I will say Wind Waker made good use of it, because at least you could check the map like while you're still sailing without pausing, because sailing would take so long. But um, that's about it. I don't know. That's probably one of the better uses of the gamepad. Is because you can check the map without pausing then, because you wanted to let the time pass. But every other game, you want to pause while checking the map. So yeah, I sound like a bit contradictory there. I'm gonna stop talking about this.
Oh, you're
Mhm.
good. What about you, Geek? Is there any 3DS games that you would like to still have the chance to play, or have you
Dude, I'm
already?
not sure I know where my 3DS is. Um, no, I know where it is. Yeah, I know where it is. I just realized I know where it is. But it is making me think that it's making me aware, and this is a good business strategy on Nintendo's part, that I might want to look at the virtual console or whatever, the shops or whatever on both of my devices and be like, hey, are there any like Zelda games that I keep saying, oh, I'd like to play those one day, but haven't, things like Minish Cap or I don't
Mm,
know what's available, but I'm like, okay, there's games that I know aren't available on the Switch that maybe I would like to. So I want to stream one day. I always talk about how like I've never played hardly any of the 2DS games or 2DS. That's not the right thing. 2D Zelda games. So it makes me want to be like, okay, well, let me look into the Wii U and see that what I can get on there. I can't stream A Link Between Worlds because it's on my 3DS, and that's a little difficult to try and stream anything from there. But yeah, so smart on their
mhm.
part. I can sympathize why someone might get upset. Like maybe they just never made that jump to the Switch for whatever reason. And they're like, no, I want to keep buying games. It's like, it's not like they're going to be updating it though. Like, and they're
Mhm.
giving you plenty of time. Like, stinks for you, but, like Daniel said, they are a business. They have to make money. And we might think it's shrewd. We might think some things are like, oh, why? But it's like, that is their end goal is to make money off of their games. They make good games that make money, but
It might be a good
yeah.
business strategy. Make money.
No,
Yeah, it's a good call.
because
It's
yes, it would.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Is this could kind of galvanize people or like serve as a catalyst to get people um to sort of for lack of like crap or get off the pot kind of thing with their decisions about which games to buy, right? Like, um, yeah, like Minish Cap's a great example. That was a really good game. Really, it's like $8 on Wii U Virtual Console. So it's not like a super expensive game to get, and it's definitely
Right.
worthwhile to play. I think it's a great Zelda game, and it's not on Switch. So it's like, yeah, well, then maybe now this is the push people need to buy all the old Metroid games that are on Wii U as well, or whatever else, Minish Cap, and actually I did that with the Oracle games, which it wasn't just now. I actually did it a few months back, but I was thinking that something like this might happen, like they're going to close the eShop. So I bought the Oracle games on my 3DS, just so that I can have them when I'm ready to play them without worrying about that option being gone. But I think a lot of the outrage for this kind of comes from, or kind of is more of a critique of the Switch's selection more than it is about the Wii U and the 3DS eShops themselves. Because those, like the Wii U Virtual Console has a huge selection, and you can get DS games, you can get N64 games, Super Nintendo, SNES, and GBA games. Um, and there's just like a really good selection of games that are really hard to get out in the wild. Like the Game Boy Advance Fire Emblem games are really hard to track down a physical copy, and they're really expensive. And when Metroid Dread was announced, suddenly anyone who had a physical copy of like Metroid Zero Mission or Metroid Fusion for the GBA were like hiking those prices way up. So the Wii U Virtual Console was a much better alternative. Okay, well, it's digital, but it's only $8 as opposed to the $80 that Joe Schmo selling it on Facebook Marketplace wants for it. So, like, really, I think that the best way, the best thing would be for Nintendo just to make these games available on Switch instead, because there's a big catalog that is kind of going to be gone um, from for like at least for easy access to buy directly from
Mm.
Nintendo. Um, because honestly, the secondhand market can be pretty brutal to navigate sometimes.
Oh
It's
yeah.
oh yeah, it totally is. Because especially like some people don't know the value of games and will undersell it, and you'll be like, okay, I got this great thing from it was only like $12. Okay, but then some people know the value or overestimate the value, and
Oh
they mark
gosh.
up the prices and they treat it like a business almost. It's atrocious. Yeah.
Yeah, like scalpers.
Mhm. Scalper. That's the thing. So like sometimes you just have to play the long game, but then it sucks because you're waiting for so long, right? Like Amiibo, for example, which is not as hot a market anymore as it was even a few years back, but the Wave One Marth Amiibo for Smash Bros was so stupidly expensive for so long. Like it launched in 2014, sold out immediately, and then you could not find one for under like $80. anywhere because people were just like selling them for these absurd prices. And I just was like, okay, well, I'm not going to spend that much on this tiny little figurine that his
No.
face looks a little derp anyways. And I ended up finding a restock literally years later. I think it was like 5 or 6 years later. I found a restock on the shelf at Best Buy, got one for $12 at retail, right? I'm just like, all right. Like sometimes you have to play the long game, but you can't do that with Game Boy Advance games or N64 games because they're
Yeah.
not in production anymore. So yeah, just put the games on Switch. Everyone will be happy. Everyone likes more games being available. That's the truth. Nintendo Switch has games, but we want more games.
Those we
I
just
said
like
I
the
was going to stop
Switch in
talking. And then
general.
that's true. I said I was going to stop, and then I kept talking. I'm sorry.
No, are you good?
Jesse,
Daniel.
you've been rather quiet about this.
No,
What do you think?
I think lots of stuff.
Pray do
I do
tell.
too.
Yeah.
Until I need to think, and then my brain goes, nope.
No,
That's relatable.
I mean, it's something that is always going to happen. Like every time there's a newer console about to come out, they always slowly die down on support for older consoles.
Which makes sense.
My biggest question is, are they using that eShop, like instead of having people updating their eShops and stuff for the 3DS and the Wii U, are they going to be using that team to put effort into a new kind of shop, or if the Switch gets something new, or an updated version of the current Switch eShop, or if it'll be whatever their next console will use? Because I know there are, for some reason, some people think that like the Switch is just Nintendo's last console ever, and there will be no other future consoles. But
Why
for
do
the
people think
people,
that?
for the people
Like,
that
that's
have
Probably because it's
brains,
so good. It's like, how do you get better than this?
yeah.
you
But for
you just iterate on it. You just use the same like idea.
yeah,
you
that's
know,
why we got like
and
6
console
versions of a
hybrid.
3DS,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also true.
and
There was
then
actually that reminds me of something, but I'll tell you after. Jesse, keep going though.
yeah, I was just gonna say that whenever or whatever the new Nintendo console ends up being, maybe it'll be coming out or have some sort of update around that time. Like whenever the Switch came out, they didn't have the paid online at first. It was like free for a while, wasn't it? I feel like it was.
Yeah, when Switch first launched, like from the March till like it was probably like the first year, all online services were free. And then
Oh yeah.
yeah, and I remember because a lot of people who played Splatoon were kind of choked about it at the time because they're like, oh, now we have to pay for this online subscription. We were playing for free all this time. Am I thinking of the right thing? Does that sound right?
I think
It was
so.
Yeah,
it was
I
almost 5
vaguely
years
remember
ago.
this.
It was so long ago now. It was
that
like
right?
almost ago.
Because I feel like I remember like being on the plan and then being like, oh wait, now we're gonna have to pay for it. And then we were like, we're just all gonna join Daniel's family.
Natsu says Switch
Right.
Online was free until September 2018. Yeah, because I
That's
thought
what- okay,
I
so-
remembered
That's
when
crazy.
we were at E3, we didn't have to pay for Switch Online.
The first year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's
Way
all
back
coming back.
when.
September 18th, 2018, that Switch Online launched. And I remember that because I thought it was funny. It was my wife's birthday that it launched. So there you go. That's how I remember.
Daniel, do you want to send a link to that retro Metroid thing? Talk about it for a
You
little
want
bit.
a link?
Yeah.
You want a link to it? Let me just pull up the old Twitter. It was on their Twitter.
Oh, I can just go there then.
So they're you can just go to Retro Studios Twitter page. It's literally they changed just their banner picture, and it's this kind of spoopy picture. You see what I'm talking about? I'm just gonna put it right here in our little podcast chat here. It's this spoopy picture. It's like Samus is standing in this like bluey, creepy hallway sort of thing.
Ooh.
And that's it. That's the first thing that they've, aside from job listings, that's the first time Retro Studios has posted anything about Metroid Prime 4,
I have it up
which has been in
That's
development
cool looking.
for years.
screen.
It is cool looking. It's so it's atmospheric. It's creepy. I love it. I love it. Yeah. And I've been playing through the Prime games on my Saturday night streams. And a big part of the sort of plot of those games is like there's this sort of radioactive substance called phazon, which has this sort of blue glow to it, and that's kind of what this reminds me of, as well. But you see, like there's so it looks like Samus is standing in the middle there, but there's like this sort of bordering around the picture, and part of me is like, oh, it almost looks like this is like maybe the bordering around the visor. And maybe we're actually looking at Dark Samus, not Samus herself. Maybe we're behind the visor, Samus's visor, looking at Dark Samus in this picture. I don't know. It just makes my imagination run wild. It's a really cool picture though. So we Metroid fans are. This is like Zelda level of scrutiny I'm putting this picture under. So, yes. Shows you how starved Metroid fans have been when starved for content.
Mm-hmm.
When they just post one picture and I'm like, oh my gosh,
Well,
it's real.
we officially know what the silhouette looks like now.
The silhouette of Samus.
Yes.
Yeah, of the
Looks
suit.
like Samus. It does look like her. Yeah.
There's supposed to be a
Yeah.
ship behind her.
A ship?
Yeah,
Is there?
with like the lights shining down,
Maybe it is.
and then
Oh,
like
yeah.
the bridge
That's what I thought it
lowering.
was.
Yeah, I see it now. Okay, that's cool. This is cool. So this is it. Retro Studios just put this on Twitter, no caption or anything, just this image, right? That's it. That's all we know. But yeah, it's Aaron in the chat says, I wonder if they released concept art to gauge interest. I mean, maybe.
I think they already know the world's interested.
So I think Dread showed that there's an audience for Metroid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, I've been playing through the Prime games, and it's my first time playing through them in years. I've played through them before, but I think the last time I played through the Prime trilogy before I was streaming them was something like 2014. So it's been a long time. And like those games, they really hold up. They really do. The fact that this was like the mid 2000s and they had these games running at like a smooth 60 frames per second with motion controls, and like it's technically impressive, and the fact that the visuals for the most part hold up so well, it really shows how strong of an art direction that they had going in. So it it makes me excited for Prime 4 whenever we may or may not see that. Probably not too soon. It's a cool picture though. It's very cool. I'm still talking.
Well, oh yeah, so the next piece of news. Let's see. We can do this is Zelda 1.
Ooh, Zelda. We never talk about that on this podcast.
That's what
Yeah,
people
what is
say.
that?
that's what they say.
I've
Talking about Zelda for once.
I think for like a month straight, whenever I was like, we're gonna do the Hylian Gamescast tonight, what should we talk about? And people will comment and be like, you should talk about Zelda for once. And I'm like, but
We don't know.
yeah.
We never do that. It's funny too if you just go to Jesse's channel and you look at the thumbnails and titles of his video, and it's just like pretty much, I would say like 99% Zelda.
I've tried to
Like,
cover other stuff, but people don't care.
it's
like they don't
care.
It's like they don't care if we
Yeah.
talk about Pokemon or Mario or anything. They just want Zelda.
Except
Or it's like they come
for-
into the podcast right after we've talked about Zelda. And they're like,
Right,
why
and
aren't you
they're
talking
like-
about Zelda? It's like, we just did. If you notice in the title, there's 4 things listed, you know.
Yeah, that's true. Like, we just talked about it for an hour. You just missed it. Except for your top
Rewind.
5 unreleased canceled Mario games video, Jesse. That one actually did pretty well. That's probably your only non-Zelda video that was like really really good performance-wise.
I should
So-
probably get back to that series because they always did really well.
Well, they were interesting topics,
Because
right?
even
So
the
people like
Donkey
to
Kong one that I didn't think people would be interested in. I was just like, I've already covered everything else Nintendo. Why not Donkey Kong?
That's true.
There you
That's
go.
true. It's
So
good
yeah,
times.
this comes from comicbook.com. I made a video talking about it yesterday, but I thought maybe people would want to hear your guys' thoughts as well.
Okay.
From comicbook.com, the rumor from Samus Hunter quote is a Zelda product will be released this year as always, as there are other titles in development, but right now the plans are still a late 2022 release, and if a delayed happened, they would announce it around April/May because that's usually the period for the new financial year projection, I guess. So a few things that I said on my video yesterday was that every time that Breath of the Wild's been announced, or not announced, but every time it's been brought up, or they've been like they release images or whatever with games coming out this year, Breath of the Wild's always been 2022, which they still could delay it. There's always that chance. I mean, they delayed Breath of the Wild 1 like 50 billion times, but yeah. And I also, in my video, I mentioned, like, there were some people who's like, if Breath of the Wild 2 is taking so long, why did they delay it to work on Skyward Sword HD? Would you like to give your thoughts on that question, Daniel?
They didn't delay it to work on Skyward Sword HD. They outsourced Skyward Sword HD to Tantalus, and so a different studio worked on it while they continued working on Breath of the Wild 2. It's not an uncommon practice.
The only time I can think of that Nintendo, like their main Zelda team, went out of their way to do a remake was with Wind Waker. And that was only a small portion of their team. And they said in the end it ended up helping them develop Breath of the Wild even faster because it gave them a boost in learning how to develop for the Wii U and how to use the Breath of the Wild engine better.
To their credit, Wind Waker HD is a stellar remaster as far as remasters go. You know, the changes that they put to pack a heavy punch. Swift Sail is a huge deal, right? So yeah. So to their credit, the time they did it right. They did it good. But yeah, usually they just outsource these things. Like Link's Awakening was Grezzo. Same with the 3DS remakes for the N64 games. Tantalus did Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword. And I feel like I'm forgetting something else, but they had Koei Tecmo doing the Warriors games in the meantime. Yeah.
So let's just go out on a limb here and say if the game is delayed, or if they do release a second Zelda thing this year. They have released multiple games before. I think it wasn't in the same year, but the most they did was like 3 or 4 Zelda things within a year of each other, or almost within a year, but not exactly the same year. But yeah, what is something Zelda related that you could realistically see if Breath of the Wild 2 is delayed, or if it does come out like a smaller little game. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
I almost, yeah, I almost feel like I should just get it out of the way and say that this rumor, like I have my thoughts about Samus Hunter and about Nintendo insiders in general, but
Mhm.
a lot of them are, very unreliable. Like what was it? Mark Amaro was the one, Jesse, that he just like posted the same rumor and just kept changing the dates until he got it right, you know. And so I mean, it's just an interesting thing. If you guys know John Cartwright, formerly of Nintendo Life and even more formerly of Game Explain, um, recently made a video on his channel, which is Good Vibes Gaming, showing how he faked being a Nintendo insider in 7 hours and got actually picked up by news outlets before he had to come out and be like, no, this was actually a social experiment. And so but he fooled a lot of
Wow.
people. Basically, how he did it is he made a private Twitter account, posted a bunch of fake leaks about the Nintendo Direct, and posted like a bunch, like hundreds. And then after the Direct came out, he deleted all the ones that were, and then made his account not private. And that was it. So, and and then
Wow.
yeah, he got by news outlets. So people were, a news outlet was like, "Oh, this mysterious Twitter account, this leaker, predicted like the entire Nintendo Direct or leaked it." And then he had to come out and be like, "This was just to show you guys how." So, anyways, point is,
That's
Samus Hunter
actually
has had
really
a track
cool.
record that's better than a lot of other leakers, but there's have still been wrong things. But you have to always be wary. And this, I feel like this leak in particular, or this rumor, is so
Generic.
carefully worded to be just vague enough that no matter what happens, they'll probably be right by stretching it, because it's just vague enough. There's just not enough details to be wrong about anything. Like a Zelda project will be released this year. Well, we know Nintendo always wants to release a Zelda project every year, right? So
Yep.
it's just like their practice. That's always their aim. Yeah. So I mean, like I could see them just doing like DLC for Age of Calamity. I think a third wave of DLC. And then by that's a Zelda product, technically. So they'd be right. Right? Yeah. And yeah, so that's I always have that sort of trepidation about these kind of things. It's just very much a like such a safe bet that it's like, yeah, they'll probably be right because they're being vague, saying something that's pretty obvious if you know what you're talking about. So yeah, instead of speaking in riddles, it's like exactly what Joseph is saying in the chat.
Yeah.
They don't just outright say what they know. It's always like a riddle or strategic wording, you know. And again, it's to kind of try to keep their credibility intact by
Yeah.
having that sort of cushion of that elbow room of like, oh well, what I meant was this, you know.
There was
Yeah.
last year there was a guy that was like, I forgot his name, but it
Oh,
was
Justin just says technically it's right now because Zelda product.
yeah, no, there
That's
was
true.
last year there was
True
someone
though.
who said that Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time would be coming out this year in some, or last year in some form. And
Mhm.
then like on their podcast or the video or something, they were like saying that they knew it was coming out or something like that. And then later on they clarified that they didn't know if it was going to be remakes or the actual game. And then when someone mentioned, because we covered it on our channel where I covered it, and then someone tagged them and was like, Jesse says blah 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 blah, and the guy was like, well, I didn't say it was coming out, I said it could be a possibility, which isn't what he said. Like, he said that he knew it was coming out. And then when it was finally announced for the not virtual console, the eShop expansion thing, like everyone was like, oh my god, you were so right, blah blah blah. And it's like, but
Right.
he said that he was Like when someone messaged him or tweeted at him directly, he said that he didn't know. He was just guessing or assumed. But on the podcast, he said that he did know. I don't know. It was weird.
That is weird. Also, Jesse, you made me green.
Did I?
Again, which, how dare you, for starters, but also, it just doesn't quite get my lips right, so it looks like I'm wearing some, like, gnarly...
It does, though.
Some gnarly lipstick.
That's because
now it's green.
It was color corrected to your old webcam.
Oh, wait, no, there's, like, one section that's... It's like you've got the kabuki lipstick. Where it's just, like, right down here.
A little bit there.
Yeah, it was it was just a thing. I had it color corrected for your old webcam.
No, this is my old webcam. That's what I'm using.
Switch to your new one.
My new one. Okay, well the angle's not as good. You see all the mess.
I just want to see the
here.
Yeah.
See that angle's not.
See.
Yeah, it ain't right.
Yeah.
Basement's weird. I don't like. I like that this one picks up the light better, I think. But this one's my built-in one, so it's not quite as not as much I can do with it.
All right.
What a time. What a time.
Yeah, Geek, do you have any thoughts? If do you imagine any Breath of the Wild 2 or not if Breath of the Wild does or does not come out, do you see any other Zelda stuff coming out this year?
I mean, I guess I'm indifferent. I'm like, I could see them doing something. If Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out this year, no. If it ends up being delayed, maybe. I don't know. I feel the same way about, like, all the rumors. Like, I was thinking, like, let's say before we got that announcement for Breath of the Wild sequel in the first place, I mean, the only person who called it among all of us was Jesse. You were the one that was like, we're going to get 3 things. And, it was very hopeful. And then we did get 3 things. But if someone had been like, I don't know, if someone had claimed like, oh, I know for sure that there's going to be good Zelda stuff. Like someone said, there's going to be good Zelda stuff. It could have literally just been Link's Awakening. And they would have been like, see, I told you.
We actually
good
did
Zelda stuff.
I did something like that one. Well, I didn't do it, but it was one of the people sending me emails like something Zelda thing's going to come in April or this week or whatever. And it turned out to be that weird statue thing. Not weird statue, statue series.
Yeah. But yeah, people, it's just kind of funny how people try to stretch things. And it's like, no, if you had literally come out and said, there's going to be a sequel to Breath of the Wild, and you had proof of it. Although I'm sure there were people out there that threw that out there as like like when I say I predicted the Pokemon Sword and Shield DLC, no, I didn't. I just threw out a random guess and I was like, oh, I got it right.
Yeah.
But I've never claimed I predicted that or I had insider knowledge. I was just like, I don't know, maybe the DLC. And then they did, and I was like, oh.
Daniel and
That's the difference. That's totally the difference. Is you never claim to have insider knowledge.
Oh.
None of us have here. So that's the key difference. Is we can spitball ideas and try and guess as best we can, and I think we make good.
It's super satisfying when it comes to fruition.
Totally.
All the Animal Crossing stuff that I was like, there has to be more. There has to be more. No, there's not more. There has to be more. There's more. I was like, see? I didn't know, but I was hopeful.
Last month, I brought up we had our 2021 prediction thread that we had put in writing.
That was so cool.
So that stuff was correct, but like we're just we're just fans making educated guesses. We're not claiming to be insiders. Yeah.
I was actually going to say the best educated guess that I think we had was when we said that there was a strong chance there was going to be a Skyward Sword amiibo trailer and Age of Calamity DLC trailer the month before E3. And then both came out the month before E3. But that was just using a little bit more than common sense.
Right.
It's not very common.
And that's
Yeah.
usually what happens for us. It's like, we're like, well, based on what we know,
Mm-hmm.
probably this is going to be a thing.
And then you have people from Nintendo
We don't
that
work
break
at
your
Nintendo,
heart.
though.
Mm-hmm. And one thing as well, actually, is that I find has been really interesting is, we mentioned it last week. I think the Kitt Krysta, who left Nintendo. They worked at Nintendo for 14 and 13 years respectively, and they primarily worked in marketing. And
Mhm.
one thing they've been talking about on, they just started a podcast, which is actually one of the topics I was considering talking about tonight as well.
I thought we were going to talk. We're talking about it now. High five.
We are now. All right. Nice. Okay. But one of the things they mentioned, which kind of almost sheds a different light on all these leakers and rumors, is that like Nintendo is very secretive even internally. So like if you only know what you know about what project you're working on. And one thing Kit and I can't remember if it was on their podcast or they were talking about it. They were on Game Explain's channel talking with Andre for about an hour. And one thing he mentioned is like, oh yeah, like you couldn't go up to away and be like, hey, this thing, because you'd get a dirty look because everyone is so secretive. You have to be. And so like
Yeah.
even Nintendo's own marketing within Nintendo's marketing teams, they don't tell each other all these insider secrets. Like you know what projects you're working on and that's it. You don't share
Yeah.
that with other people. And that's how Nintendo has stayed so, like there have been leaks, but that's for the most part Nintendo's just doesn't have as big of a leak problem as a lot of other companies do, right? So it's like there's very little chance of a single insider, other than maybe like if it was Doug Bowser himself, knowing like the
Right.
entirety of the direct.
Mhm.
Like that just wouldn't be. So yeah, it's
Which
that's the
makes it
thing.
a
If
surprise for everyone.
totally.
If
Even
you
when you work
remember-
there, you're like, I don't even know.
True. Yeah.
If you remember last year when
What?
Yeah. Jesse?
hold on,
I just hit my tooth on my water bottle. I don't know if you heard
Wow.
that.
when the
Didn't
two
feel fresh.
companies messaged me about the thing,
Mhm.
and
Okay.
they, well, Daniel, I'm sure
I think
everyone
you
knows.
follow.
There was a Skyward Sword thing that was mentioned. They ended up going with other people, but there was also an Ocarina of
Okay.
Time thing mentioned.
Mhm.
One ended up, they changed the people invited to it, and the other one just did not happen. And the Ocarina of Time thing went along with other things we were reporting on at the time that where I was emailed, which led me to believe that it had even more weight behind it. And then that's the infamous time when Nintendo and Amazon broke my heart. I mean, two companies broke my heart.
Yeah. That was the whole thing.
So like even Nintendo themselves don't even know what they're doing sometimes. Apparently.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, that's fair. I'm a dance teacher. I don't know what I'm doing.
And they even had
With my dances, I mean.
that was even
My
a thing where
students
they
have
were
to tell me
like,
what I choreographed.
yeah. But that was even a thing where they were like, you have to sign this before we tell you anything. And then it still ended up not happening. So
Yeah. Which is too bad.
yeah, broke my heart.
Mm-hmm. My heart was broken on your behalf.
Yeah, just
So,
push
Dang.
everything in July to the side, prepare for something, and then bloop, nothing. Part of me still convinced they
Yes.
were like trying to be like, who's telling you this stuff? Because there was a lot of stuff last year that you mentioned that did end up coming or whatever. And then there was the weird times when we were talking about, or when I was talking about Ocarina of Time, people were like, it's the voice actors from Breath of the Wild. They're the ones telling you Ocarina of Time's coming, aren't they? It's
How
like
would they know?
why would they know? That would be like 𝗏𝗏 or
don't even
someone.
know.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I mentioned a few times, I was talking to Sean the day the first 4 figures, like his statue of his character released. He didn't even know about it. So it's like they don't know anything
Yeah.
aside from
They know their lines.
yeah.
They know their lines.
They don't even tell us that.
Exactly. They didn't even know what they were auditioning for when they auditioned.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's like it kind of reminds me of I don't know how much people watching are like comic book movie fans, but like with Marvel's Avengers Endgame, most of the actors didn't know the ending of the movie. They
Yeah.
were like given either false or incomplete scripts, right? They know their parts, but they don't know the whole
Especially
movie.
Tom
And
Holland. They were especially picky with Tom Holland.
they just don't tell him anything. So
These are your
yeah,
lines. Say them.
these are your life. Yeah, that's all you need to know. Which works for like the general bewilderment that he constantly has going on in the whole movie. But but yeah, it's like
It works.
work, but that's like one of those things. Like companies are so sensitive, because when you have so many people involved in these things, like you have to even with NDAs, leaks happen. So how do you stop leaks from happening? Well, if no one knows what's going on, then no one can leak it. We got a super chat though from Eric S. Thank you, Eric. If you have a question or anything, throw it in the chat and we will answer it. Appreciate the super chat. Yes.
Tis true.
Is there any other news? Did you have anything else on your list?
Well, I guess we only barely scratched the surface with the Kitt and Krysta thing. That's the only other thing I think that we didn't do. Metro Studios, Majora's Mask, Wii U, the eShops. Yeah. So the Kitt and Krysta podcast was the last piece of news. We talked about it just a little bit just now, but we also were talking about it the other week where they left Nintendo, and they'd been working there for many years, right? And so we were kind of speculating. I don't remember if we actually did it on the podcast or if it was just in our group chat now, in our little group chat.
Depends which timeline you're thinking of.
I know we did speculate about it in the chat, but I don't remember if we if it transferred to podcast. If it did, it was a podcast. I wasn't.
It must have just been. We must have just talked about it in our chat and not
Eric
on the
just
podcast.
Gave his question.
Oh, thank you, Eric.
I did.
As much as I love Twilight Princess HD and Wind Waker HD this year, I feel that we're going to get Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks sooner. Thoughts? What are your guys' thoughts?
I would love all of them, but I don't think we're getting any of them. Now, I would love to be wrong, but at this point, I'm kind of like, maybe not. Now that they've been doing like Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask with the N64 online, I'm like, I don't see those coming anytime soon. So, but if they do, great.
I think if we're getting Breath of the Wild sequel this year, that we're not going to get any other remasters or releases or
I imagine
until next year.
Age of Clams DLC that relates to Breath of the Wild 2 might be a thing. Even if it's not paid DLC, just like a free update to let you have some of the outfits or new weapons and stuff from Breath of the Wild 2, but in Taker610, hopefully 𝗏𝗏 is working on a new Zelda game. I believe 𝗏𝗏 has already finished a Zelda game and is working on another Zelda game. Because they never stop working on Zelda. Sometimes they work on 2 Zeldas at once. And they had to be working on something after Link's Awakening until 2019. Or 2020. One of the two. And then
they did Utopia.
Because they updated.
Not a big project.
Yeah. Because they have like different teams. Because they've worked on like 3 or 4 games at once before. Not that many Zelda games, just that many different games. because they've worked on like PlayStation games at the same time they've worked on. Yeah. So I strongly believe that they finished a Zelda game, and then recently when they began hiring again, that was hiring for another Zelda game.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But that's just me.
If they did,
And I think that's Ocarina of Time. Unless Nintendo just breaks my heart.
if they did do like Phantom Hourglass Spirit Tracks, there's a lot of retooling control specifically, but it's doable for sure. It would be cool to see those games kind of get a second life because I think they're kind of underappreciated games.
Yeah. And less accessible.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's like that, and like maybe the Oracle games because
Oh, I would
I
love to
haven't.
do the Oracle games. Just because I love Link's
That's
Awakening so much and it's similar vibes.
totally. Yeah, yeah. But thank you for the super chats and the
Yeah.
questions, friend.
Kitt and Krysta, Daniel.
That's what we're trying. I totally had lost my train of thought there. Thank you. So Kit and Krista's, we I guess we forgot to talk about it on the podcast, but we did talk about it in our little chat. We were kind of spitballing what they were going to be doing next and what was going on there, and I guess we had kind of come to a general consensus that they were probably going to still be doing um, something like content creation or videos of their own together without being tied to just Nintendo. That was kind of our general consensus, and we were kind of we were mostly right, is what I'll say. Is they didn't leave to do that, they left and are going to do that. So that, to clarify what I mean, is they left Nintendo, and they explained this on their podcast, which I definitely recommend giving it a listen. It's really nice. It's very refreshing to hear them talk. They have a bit of a different sort of a very genuine, down to earth sort of conversational podcast. Is really lovely to listen to. But basically, the office was closing down there, right? So they had to leave Nintendo or move to Redmond, Washington. So they chose, okay, well, we're going to leave the company because we live in a city we really like, that we've always lived in. We don't want to leave, and that's understandable. But yeah, so then they didn't know what they were going to do. They started job hunting, and then they explained that they decided to start their own podcast together. And then yeah, now they're able to talk about not just Nintendo stuff. And one of the things they talked about that was kind of interesting is they were like, because they were like doing this representing the Nintendo brand and working for Nintendo, they were kind of tied down with what they could, like what topics they could talk about, what things they could say, what they could, bring up in conversation on video. And they're kind of, you can kind of see there's like a relief, there's like a burden that's been lifted. They can talk more freely now about it, and they still have a lot of love for Nintendo and all that stuff, but they're like, yeah, like they can talk about, they really liked this PlayStation game and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
it's kind of refreshing to see them talk about their other interests that aren't just the newest Nintendo game and that's it, right? And they can also, something that they can also put out criticisms of Nintendo games, which they basically couldn't do while working under Nintendo. So it's a really neat, kind of refreshing thing to see them tackle. But definitely, I do recommend giving their podcast a listen. We're plugging their podcast on ours. Maybe we'll have them on here the show if we can. I would like that a lot, actually, because I'm a fan of them. But yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, one of the big takeaways is the thing I mentioned before, was like inside Nintendo's own marketing team, because basically they worked in marketing, right? Inside Nintendo's own marketing team, like people didn't know everything. Nobody knew everything, and so yeah, that ties back to the other topic that we were talking about before. Is like, you can't always trust an insider. If they know too much, that means they're probably fake, or just very good at guessing. So yeah, but they were saying their first Nintendo Direct going in blind, and that was cool. So their first ever Nintendo Direct going in blind, because they worked there throughout the entirety of Nintendo Direct existing. So that's kind of neat.
Wow.
Mm, right? It's wild. It's wild to think about. Hmm. I'm guessing neither of you guys actually listened to it yet.
No.
Right?
I was waiting for you to
I
mention
actually know when this
you
first
meeting
came
them.
up, I had to look up who Kitt and Krysta were.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
I know, I felt
But
so
it's
bad.
cool.
I was like, oh no, I know those faces. Just kidding.
It's cool though because they are like basically like the closest thing to like legit insiders, but they're not going to have any new information. They can just talk about
No.
in company culture and stuff like that, right? So it's cool.
Yay.
It's cool. Mm-hmm.
All right, is that everything?
I guess so. I don't know if you guys have any other thoughts, but
No, I think it's great. We will try to have them on
yeah, we should.
if
Yeah, I
possible.
want to pick their brain about working for Nintendo. So there's a lot of questions to be had there, you know.
If
for
only
people
you
who've
knew
worked.
some Canadian that used to work for Nintendo.
But it's different.
It is
What
different.
𝗏 did
Very
working for
different.
Nintendo. Yeah, she wasn't like putting together scripts for Nintendo Directs and stuff like that, like they were. She was
I don't know.
basically just
Maybe her
game
NDA was
demoing
just that tight.
Oh my.
Yeah.
I mean, Nintendo of Canada is basically just their Canada branch is just like demoing and marketing and stuff
The
like that.
Canada
That's it.
branch. It's not even
But
real.
it's not even like it might as well be a subdivision of Nintendo. So, I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo of Canada would had like less than 100 employees. You know, I'm just saying it's just there for social media and stuff, right? And they post just the same things that the Nintendo of America, except also in French. So
Fancy.
yeah, exactly. The dual posts, the English and French posts. So yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Jesse.
Do you guys? I'm done. Do you guys want to play Kahoot real quick?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Some
will
Zelda
be
trivia?
Right back.
Everyone?
Yes.
Let's do it.
I will be right back.
Okay.
Return of Geek imminent.
I'll post the thing in the thing then.
Great. Sounds good.
I guess we're waiting on. So everyone, load up Kahoot. We're gonna have Zelda trivia, where everyone plays with us to answer Zelda trivia questions. KAHOOT.IT. And then when Geek gets back, we will give you the code to get into the game.
The game.
The game.
Into the game. Yes. Good. Good.
Wait, actually, don't.
Jesse.
That one.
Don't click it? Okay, fine. I see how it is. I see how it is. Wait, where are you posting? Like in the Google Doc or in Discord?
In the Google Doc.
Okay. Cool. No doubt.
Okay. Now you can click.
Can I though?
This one.
Can I click it?
I mean, you can.
Are you sure?
So again, everyone, Kahoot.it.
Bam. Connecting.
Okay.
If you go to the Google Doc, Geek,
Okay.
or you can just type in this number really fast while I say it.
That's the number.
It is 150
150.
1406. So putting it in the chat for everyone. What is happening? We are playing Kahoot. It is a Zelda trivia. You can play with us. answer 10 questions. The faster you answer, the more points you get. Do not play along with the stream. Play with your phone. Or
Yes.
your laptop or computer or tablet or shoe. Doesn't matter.
Oh, why didn't I ever think of trying my shoe?
You throw them all at me.
Right, they're all downstairs. So, yeah, that's what it is. My bad. My bad. Jesse, I like that picture on Twitter you tagged me in.
Did I tag you in a
Giant
picture on Twitter?
giant pile of bananas.
Oh, yes.
It's just a giant pile of bananas. It was good. It was great.
I had to throw out 3 bananas today because I took forever to eat them and then they were just too far gone.
No, that's the worst. That's the worst.
Yeah. I was like, there's my money. Bye.
79 cents worth of bananas. No, but it legit. It sucks. I hate wasting food. Actually, it's a peeve of mine.
Yes.
Mhm. Can we download Kahoot on the Wii U and 3DS eShops? Jess?
No.
No?
I don't think we can.
On release.
We have about 20 people. We'll start in like 10 seconds.
Considering the limit is 10, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Do.
Aaron just got back in time. Perfect. Perfect.
I don't think I can top last time though.
You did good. You did good last time.
5 number 1 in a row.
Yeah. It was good.
So remember, even though it will be on screen for everyone to see, do not play along on screen. Play through the app or on your phone or your device. Don't wait for me to read out the answers or questions.
Yeah, don't read out the answers at all.
Because the stream will be on a delay for like a few seconds. So you said don't read out the answers?
Yeah, read out the questions, but not the answers.
But it's multiple choice.
Well, you can read out the options. Just don't tell people which answer is correct, I guess is
Okay.
where the joke is
Oh,
going.
I see.
I got you.
I-
Okay, so we are ready. We have Greg's death.
What? Who named themselves Greg's death? That
CT,
hurts me.
Rip.
It was
𝗏𝗃64,
wasn't it?
Bree, 𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, Sergeant, Jumper the Cat, Tanika, Doctor, Justin, Not Fauna, Batsy, Jorge, Spyro, Eddie, Geek, and Banana Nesson. How do you pronounce that?
Cappy Bananason. That's
Alright,
that's what I wrote.
so once again, you get points based off of getting the correct answer and how many or how fast you give the answer. So if you get the answer correct, but you're the last one to answer, you're not going to get as many points. And again, do not play along with me as I'm reading out the questions, or you'll be behind. Play along on your own screen. And we're starting. 3, 2, here we go.
Here we go.
It's
Here
raining
we go.
taco.
Tacos from out of the sky?
Mm-hmm. Ocarina of Time, how soon can you obtain the big Goron sword? Only when Jubes gives permissions. After becoming an adult,
I answered that wrong.
after saving the Gorons, after the Forest Temple.
And I knew when
Pretty
I
sure
hit it that I answered it wrong.
You need Tube's permission for sure.
That's
says
true.
no.
That's true.
Then-
So you do need to get like the blue fire and stuff, but you don't need to complete any dungeons. So
when I was a kid, I used to do that. I used to get the blue tunic and the big Goron so that I could wear it. I could wear this shirt and use the sword sooner.
Oh,
It's a fun time.
Virum has a good point. You can play on the Wii U or 3DS through the browser.
Ah, that's true. That's true.
Man, that
The Wii
seems
U has
very
a good-
circuitous, though.
It's true.
All right, question 2.
That's so funny. I didn't even think of that though.
Oh, and Virum was the one who got it. Skyward Sword. The claw shots are obtained inside Daniel's basement, inside the fire sanctuary, after Din's Silent Realm, after Nehru's Silent Realm.
Dude, I don't know. I blocked the Silent Realms from my memory, okay?
Oh
It's
no.
just anxiety in pure game form.
But the payoff of having the claw
No.
shots is
That's why I
just love
answered
the claw-
incorrectly, because I didn't even put the Silent Realm. When I was playing and it was towards the end and I realized that I had to do a 4th Silent Realm, I stopped the game here and there. I was like, and we're ending the stream. I
So we have.
was like, I'm
That
done.
one's I think that one's the easiest one though, the Skyloft one. I think it's I found or maybe it was
Oh yeah,
free.
there's
I
a
found
Silent
it
Realm in
Oh.
Skyloft.
I don't. Where you may have already left. I don't remember. But when I did that one, I only had one left, and it was the one that's like to the right of where you start. And I had
Right.
woken up a creature. I had gotten under one of the lights, and I was like, "Oh,
Oh.
frick!" So I ran back to the base, but like the music was still going, and I was like, "Wait a minute."
Oh, that's
I was like, "Wait a minute, the music's still going, which means if I step out, everything's gonna still be chaos." But I had to get up the thing, but there were 2 guardians right up there, or whatever they're called, and I was like, "Oh!" And like it was just like a solid like 5 minutes of me just sitting there going, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to do it over. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to do it over. Oh my gosh, I'm
Oh
gonna have to do it over."
no.
So I just like sprinted and I jumped, and as soon as I got that little orb thing was like right before 2 of them came on me. Like
Oh
I
my goodness.
barely made it. My heart was racing so fast, and I was like, "I will never do these again."
That's fair. That's fair. You know, and
I'm that way with
the
all Zelda games. I'm like, "Wow, that game was great. Never playing it again."
the Thunder Dragon trial, like when he lets you play that, I don't
Yeah.
bother with the Silent Realm ones. I'm like, okay, I'll do the combat one so I can get the Hylian. I don't want to do the Silent Realm ones again if you don't. There's not really a good reward for it, right? So yeah.
I always looked up a map and it like told you like this is the order you should go in, so you're just making a big loop.
Mm,
Very
that's smart.
helpful.
Strategic. Mm-hmm.
It's also cheating or resourceful, depending on how you want to look at it.
I'm gonna stick with saying it's strategic of you.
Yes.
Yes.
Me, who just button mashes to defeat every boss. I couldn't do that with Demise. I had to actually try and learn how to do it. Usually if I lose to a boss 2 times, I just quit.
Ooh.
I had no choice in this case. It's like I have to finish.
You are in
I have to be
second
a good
place, Daniel.
example for my future children someday in a far off future. Finish what you start.
Brian first, Gideon third, Sergeant fourth, Virum fifth. Next question.
Can you believe it?
Skyward Sword, the Tycoon wallet holds how many rupees? 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000.
No idea. Didn't do any of the side quests.
I do not remember the exact.
I just played this game and I know none of it. Wow, I got it right.
I got it wrong. How much was it? What
Yeah,
was the
9,000.
9,000.
Why did
It's
I go
over
to
9,000.
You get it from Mr. Bowtruckle.
Batro, but why wouldn't you? Why would they make it not just rounded up to 10? You know, like that bugs me.
Because you can use
Why
it with other wallets.
Yeah, that's still annoying.
All right.
Doesn't feel right. Well, I lost that one.
Brought me
Down
up
to
5
fifth.
spots.
Up 5 places, geek. Nice.
Yeah. I guess.
Daniel in fifth.
I took a dip to 5th.
All right. Next question.
Next.
Skyward Sword has how many main dungeons? 6, 7, 8, 9.
I know I'm gonna lose, so I'm just hitting whichever one instinctually comes out at me without thinking. Yes.
I knew this one.
I had a feeling. I was like, 9 is Twilight Princess. I think this one's 7.
Ooh, back in second, Daniel. Geek, you're in
I
5th.
got up to 5th.
You're ranked. All right, next
For
question.
now.
Was it question 4? 5. Breath of the Wild. How many Sheikah Towers are there? I probably misspelled
Oh
there.
gosh, I don't know.
Only Geek
I
knows.
definitely don't know.
12, 15, 17.
I don't know, I guess. I was trying to think of all the regions. I think I lowballed it. Yep, I
Same.
lowballed it.
15.
I did.
It was 15? For
Odd,
some reason I was
actually.
like 15's too many. So I put 12.
Some regions have multiple.
Yeah, like Gerudo, there's the Wasteland Tower and
Right. Man,
Gerudo
there's a lot
Tower,
of towers.
Plateau
I knew it
one,
wasn't 17. I was like, that's
Tower.
way too many, but
Heron Tower,
dang it.
Cluda.
Ooh, Bree just passed you, Daniel.
There's a lot. There is a lot.
Eddie's in 1st. All right. Next question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Champion's Tunic has a base defense of 2, 5,
Oh, I
8,
don't know.
10.
I don't pay attention to any of that. Oh.
Natsu says,
I
I'm
I
hitting
got it
joke.
right.
Natsu says, I'm hitting
I was
joke answers now. I am assembling a model car
I'm
while
s-
playing.
I am 741 points behind Cappy Bananason.
That's me.
Yeah. This will be a first if you don't even rank, Daniel. Alright, a heads up. The next one is also Champion Tunic related.
Okay.
Sweet.
Starting the next one. 3, 2. Fully upgraded Champion's Tunic has a max defense of 30,
Again, just
32,
guess.
35, 37.
I know this one. Yeah.
I always pick the same two.
I love I misspelled champion. Champion.
Did you?
Papillon.
It's
Like
a- it's-
Papillon.
It's an Eevee evolution.
I'm
Which
still
one?
in 5th though.
Chapion. It's an Eevee
Chapion.
evolution.
Fair enough.
He becomes a good old chap.
Oh, what a good chap.
You
Yes,
know
32
what
is
Eevee
the
becomes
answer.
when you give it money? Patreon.
Ah,
Oh.
that's good.
I didn't
like
come
that.
up with that. Someone posted in my Discord. I was like, I love it with it, the graphics and everything. I was like,
That's so good.
You're still in 5th, Geek. Daniel, you're in
I
2nd.
didn't-
Tanika, you're in 1st. Bree 3rd.
My
Eddie
ranking's been a
4th.
roller coaster, honestly. It's
Yeah,
like
you're only-
second.
You're less than
There for
100
4.
behind, though. Alright, next
2 more
question.
questions.
Here we go. Eat.
Final boss in Link's Awakening. Batty, Nightmare, Dark Daniel, Deathel.
Dark Daniel.
Yeah, like
That's
Dark
me.
Link.
Mhm. Wait, what?
What? It's Nightmare.
Probably Nightmare. And it says I got it wrong.
It says I got it wrong too.
It was
Jesse
Deathel.
is what?
So, from...
It's the Nightmare.
It's the Nightmare.
What is a Deathel? What?
Yeah, what
I thought that was a joke answer.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Nightmare. I knew that one.
A Deathel's one of Nightmare's forms. That's what it is. I had to look it up.
Yeah, I was like, what the heck?
It is so Nightmare is the final boss, but it takes on different forms of like different monsters. So it takes on like an Aghanim form and a Ganon form. Deathel is
Yeah.
the last form that it takes
Yeah,
on.
but all the other ones
but
are called,
it is
like,
still,
Shadow or Nightmare or something. And then...
but they're all part of the same
But
being,
it's all the same thing.
which is a nightmare. It's literally the Windfish's nightmare.
That's the one I knew.
Come on, Jesse. I feel like the chat they're saying they got it wrong too. So, or at least Viram. Yep, got it wrong. Jorge as well. So okay, at least it's not just us. But yeah, Jesse, that's the nightmare. Come on, I'm about to become your nightmare. Like it's just
That's why
it just takes
related
on.
to that game. The existential thought of my final boss is the nightmare, and I had a lot of nightmares as a kid and as an adult.
it's a.
I got that
poetic-
one right.
You did in my heart because I also picked the same answer.
But it's like this thing.
Yeah, but that's the
That's
form
his final
of
form.
Nightmare. That's his final form, Jesse.
Yeah,
But
but
the final boss, it's all one thing.
Yeah.
That
It's
would be
one
like
entity of
saying
Nightmare.
that Beast Ganon is the final boss, and really it's like Ganondorf, but Beast Ganon is like his final form because he like breaks down and goes nuts in Ocarina of Time. But it's Ganondorf and
okay,
Beast Ganon.
so
That's a good way to put it.
this all
That is.
like all the different versions of the Shadow Nightmares are distinctly called Shadow Nightmares, but then the final one has its own name.
This is
But it's still the nightmare. You fight it in the same exact spot all at once.
this is what happens with the wiki, Jesse. You use the wiki.
But it's not just the
Use
wiki.
wiki.
It's like that's its name. So it's not just the wiki.
And where are you reading its name off of?
Yeah, but it's still like you wouldn't call fighting Puppet Ganon and Wind Waker the same as Ganon.
No,
but
because
the
he's not your
Puppet
final
Ganon
boss.
But Ganon creates
Not
the Puppet
seen
Ganon.
as
It's
But
still
it's not
in
the
a
final boss.
yeah.
In that game, Ganondorf is the final boss. And this one, the Nightmare is the final boss. But he
Okay.
has multiple forms that have great names. But
Okay.
in general, it's
We'll
Nightmare.
put an asterisk beside this one.
What'd you just do?
I didn't do anything. Daniel got so upset he left, apparently.
I'm sorry about that.
Did you get so mad you left?
No, my mic was being weird and then I couldn't hear you guys. But now it's working.
So everyone in the chat, let us know. Does it count? Is it Nightmare or is it
Verum has a
Deathall?
point. Deathal's never referenced as a name in the game. That's probably something you would know if you do the thing. But it's the Nightmare. He's the Nightmare.
It's like
He's
it's like you Puppet Ganon and Wind Waker is a different entity from Ganondorf. So like that comparison I didn't like. But like you could say Ganon's the final boss of Breath of the Wild. Then it's like, okay, well no, but actually it's Dark Beast Ganon. You know, that's what this debate feels like.
All right.
But we're
Only-
like, it's
only two people
Ganon.
got
You
it
know, no,
correct
it's the
anyways.
Nightmare. How many?
2.
2 people? 2
It's not
wrong
many
people.
thing I know, so I am taking
All
that
right.
one to my
Who's
grave.
next?
Geek's ready to die on this hill.
I am.
Mm-hmm.
right.
Nightmare or we
Or we
riot.
riot.
All right, next
We riot.
next one.
Next one. All right.
Wind Waker. Who is Zunari?
Who
The Bomb
is
Master
Zunari?
Cannon, Prison Owner, Shop Owner, Auction Owner.
Wait, that's Jesse.
What?
Is this a trick question? Is this a trick question?
I'm not 100%.
Oh,
I got it right?
though.
Yeah, me too.
He's the
Which
shop
one
owner.
did you pick, Geek?
The shop.
But he also runs the auction at night. He runs the shop during the day and the auction at night. That's why I was like, is this a trick question?
No, I
Or
can't take
both
credit for
correct.
that because I totally thought that was the name of one of those frog things on a cloud. And I was like, it's none of these. I'm just gonna guess.
I love the frog. Frog?
It just
No,
got
that's
lucky.
Zepho and Cyclos are the frogs. The frog gods.
I mixed it
Um,
up with Zepho.
Zepho. Yes. Cool names though.
See, I was
No,
just
I
thinking.
I wasn't
the,
clever. I just guessed and happened to be right.
I was just thinking
He's
because
the guy with the
his shop
parka
is just
with the big
called
poofy
Zunari Shop.
Yeah, but he runs the auction at night.
So that would
like,
technically be correct as well.
Yeah.
Does he work at the auction or does he run it?
Both.
It's
Thinking.
ambiguous. He runs the auction. He doesn't own the house that you run the auction from. He does explicitly say that he's been graciously allowed to use the house to run the auction. So
Which makes you think he is the auctioneer, though.
yeah.
Renner
Oh,
in
yeah.
the chat
He's
says
doing
frog.
it.
Yes, there's frog that fly on clouds that teach you songs.
They were originally
Oh,
going to be your
that's
companion character, and then they said, maybe not.
All right, final question.
Maybe not this one. Final question. It's the final question.
Wind Waker. Who is the Windfall Island teacher? Miss Joy, Mrs. Windfall, Mrs. Bergerson, Mrs. Mary.
This is Berkeley. I feel like this one is like a little tricky too, because one of the answers, it's probably been long enough with the stream delay, with Miss Joy is not the name. It's Miss Marie, isn't it?
Yes.
But yeah, that's really all right. But
Yeah,
you
I
give her
fell for
joy
that.
pendants. You give her the joy pendants.
I didn't read all the way
And I
through.
think
I
her
saw Joy and
school's
wait,
named
yes.
Joy. I think Joy's in the school's name as well.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
people got it.
tricky.
I won't chastise Jesse for that one because I just didn't read.
All
But
right,
it's not.
third place.
Nightmare. You can
Eddie, third
chastise.
place. Second place, Bree. First place, of course, it was Daniel.
Is 𝗏𝗵𝗃 the mystery trivia?
Who could it be?
I would have gotten higher. I would have gotten higher.
Okay, so who were the two people that got the one correct?
Who said Deathel? Yeah, who did say Deathel?
I bet they guessed like I did for the shop owner.
Could be. Could be.
You full report.
But GG, everybody.
I got 5 out of 10 correct, not 4.
That's not bad. See, I came out on
Last
top.
time I
with
got
only
like
7.
8 out of 10 correct. Oh.
I only got 7. I'm losing my edge, guys.
You still
I
came
need-
in first.
Gotta step up my game.
Eddie,
I mean, whoever
said
this
Deathel,
𝗏𝗵𝗃 person is.
and Spyro said Deathel.
So you must have used some sort of dragon.
So despite getting it wrong, you
Hours.
still won. So
Well, yeah,
One
but
in
that's
my heart. I blame
me.
that issue. It just brought me down for the whole rest of the game. I couldn't focus.
Why
That's
not?
why I thought Zunari was a frog. And yet I got that one right, so never mind.
CYT Magazine
That's,
says, why not best out of 3? Because it's hard enough, as you can clearly see, coming up with 10 new questions. So coming up with 30. See, if only there was like some, maybe I could use Rick. Like test the questions on him and be like, hey.
You could. You could.
But then he would play and
I was
win
gonna
every time.
ask, did you test this one? And they said it was Deathel too?
No, I didn't test this one.
Be like, who is this person? I must wring their neck. I'm just kidding.
It sounds like an old lady's name, but an evil old lady's name. Like, you know,
instead of Ethel.
Deathel. Yeah, Deathel. The old lady that will kill you. And no one would suspect her because she's so sweet.
It's the grandmother of the twin Rova sister.
Yeah. Deathel. You go over, you're like, what? We're just here asking around the neighborhood for these missing people. She's like, oh, do come in for some tea, don't you? And they're like, oh, she's too nice. She wouldn't be the killer, right?
No.
Wait,
But
where
she
are there
would.
upside down pentagrams in her home?
Oh no.
Daniel,
no.
Old lady Deathel.
There's
I'll
no
never be able to
Majora.
meet an old lady named Ethel and think of them the same way ever again.
All right. So now it is $5 from Edward. Thank you.
Thank you, Edward, for the dancing lemon man.
If you have a question,
That's
let us know.
that's
Create a
a little
research group
creepy
on Discord.
looking.
Easy peasy. See, if I did that, created a research group on Discord, they would all play and win every time.
That's true.
That is also true.
We'd all know the answers. Mm-hmm.
Why am I suddenly on a winning streak? I suddenly know everything about Zelda.
So it is time to do a quick Zelda mailbag, where this time we're answering your questions. So if you have any questions, please post them in the chat. or you can
And
join
per
our
usual,
Discord.
I must duck out before the mailbag
Oh, okay.
because I
Oh,
have heavy eyelids from work.
Fair. This is fair.
Jesse's mercy was stored in his beard.
Oh no, that's true.
Oh.
It's like the Samson's strength, except Jesse's mercy, and his beard
Oh,
instead
I
of his
get that
hair.
reference. Yes.
Aha!
For a second, I was like, "Who's Samson?" And I was like, "Wait, no, I know this."
Wait, you know this one. You know this one. Yeah, yeah. Jesse's mercy.
Edward
Moving
says,
on.
no question, but I want to say I love your videos. Thank you so much. Geek, before you leave, do you want to direct people towards your humble abode?
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Not my actual humble abode. That'd be creepy.
Yeah.
Where I found 2 dead.
You just get a bunch of
Pokemon
knocks
today.
on your door. They ring your doorbell. We're here to play the Zelda mailbag. Here's our question.
No.
You know
I'd
something about trivia?
I hide. That would be an actual nightmare. Anyway, no, I am the Geek Apprentice. I have a YouTube channel and I stream on Fridays at around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I have time to quickly eat after getting off work. So tomorrow is stream number 2 of Twilight Princess HD. I'm having trouble getting used to the controls for some reason. And I do videos. I have a Zelda theory kind of video coming out next week. So be on the lookout for that. Yes, that's where you find me, is YouTube. I have Instagram and Twitter. Instagram, I post random things or ask me anything when I'm bored. And then Twitter is mostly like, here's my stream. Here's my stream. Here's my stream. Here's my video. Here's my stream. Oh, someone talked to me and something. So yeah, yes, that is me. But I will see you guys next time. So, yes. I don't think I missed anything.
I missed your first Twilight Princess stream, apparently. Oops.
I struggled. It was a struggle. I don't know
I was
why.
herding them goats.
That was fine. It was totally
It's a fun,
fine.
compelling gameplay.
I kept
That's
falling off
relevant.
the edge of Hyrule Castle.
Oop!
I was like, oh, I went to attack that bird thingy with the no face and just went dead.
They really do have no face.
I don't
It's
know
just
what
like
those
their
things are
neck
called.
opens and they're just.
Yeah.
That's it.
And the sound they make
That-
when they're attacking you.
like,
That's not it
like
at
that.
all.
Then no.
Yeah, that was closer.
No.
That was closer to mine.
Well, you gotta.
Yeah. It was a lot of chat. It was a lot of chat about why do people hate Ilia's character? And then everyone reminiscing and being like, remember when you used to go by Ilia? And I'm like,
Ah, yes.
such a
Why
long
do
time
people
ago.
hate her character though? I don't get
I know,
that.
like, she can be kind of bratty sometimes, but I'm also like, Link, take care of your gosh darn horse.
There was
Also, she definitely likes him, and he definitely likes her.
if you remember
Okay.
Wait, what'd you name your
Amanda
horse?
from Zelda
Epona.
Universe, she posted
I'm not
an
fun. It's
article
Link and Epona.
about
Fair.
why she hates Ilia.
Oh no,
right.
there was a video on Zelda Universe, and I wasn't like mean, but I did comment back, and I was like, Ilia's like my favorite character. I love her. I wish they had kept her old design though. She looks a little weird with that hair, but her old design, she looks a little cuter.
Blame
I
Tantalus.
think it's
They
also
gave her care and hair. No offense.
her mouth is like not right in the HD version. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It looks like her lips are being pressed together.
It's kinda like a
it's
fish.
not right. Yeah, that's it. You're doing it right now.
Fish.
that was
Well,
it. That was
I used to be
perfect.
called Ilia, so
Now you're Ilia HD. No, it's
Ilia
very
Rose,
weird.
Ilia HD.
If there's one complaint I have with Twilight Princess HD, it's Ilia's face is not quite right for some reason. Yeah, it's just they just didn't get it quite right. Link looks great though, but
Oh, Link always looks great, Twilight Princess. I had to say it, even though he's
of course,
17.
the man is 17 years old.
I know, No, I can't say that stuff. I'm 26
Oh,
now.
right. Oh,
But
I've heard
everyone
people say
thinks
way
I'm
worse.
16, so it's fine.
Yeah, no,
Actually,
that
it's
sounds
not.
right. No, it's not.
Doesn't make a difference. I'm
If,
still.
if they would have made the
Alright.
sequel to Twilight Princess, as they said they were going to originally, then maybe
hmm
it would be okay.
Maybe if Link's ever
Yeah.
late 20s.
We got Link's crossbow training instead,
Yeah.
so it's all good. Best game ever.
Oh yeah, I've never
Oh.
played it.
10 out of 10. Best game ever.
Oh yeah. All right.
Mhm.
Well, good night, y'all.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Bye.
And then there were two.
Were there?
No, there were not. Time. I was just joking. That was a joke. Sorry. That was. I'm kidding. I'm still here. Anyways, Jesse,
Hi.
James.
Those are both my names, yes.
Yeah, yes, but also Pokemon. The mailbag. How does the old song go? Mailbag. That's the one, right?
Mhm.
I forgot to do the hand thing. I suck. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Do you have any questions picked out?
Do I? No. I'll pick one though. Let's see. Did you update this on the doc here?
I did
Are
not.
these questions? All right, then. Tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the old Discord. I'm going to go into the Zelda Mailbag Discord channel, which is the best place to submit Zelda Mailbag questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see what we got here. I'm confused about this question. I'm going to read it, and Jesse, maybe you can clarify for me.
All right, I'll be the translator.
𝗵𝗃 asked, how far could Link go in a gauntlet against first Joker, second Voldemort, third Sauron, and fourth Sephiroth?
Okay,
So is this
gauntlet is like,
are they meaning like they're gonna fight? He's gonna fight all four of them in a row?
yeah, it's like a gauntlet is basically like one person fights
Like a
another
glove,
person, and then the winner just
then-
continues.
Okay, yeah.
And
So
saying
I
if-
just mean
In that order, if Link fought all of them in that order, how far would he get? That really depends on which Link. Because if it's like
it does
Child
depend on
Link
which
from
Link.
Ocarina of Time,
He's gonna lose.
Yeah.
Wait, which Joker are we talking about here? Is this like is
Smash
this
Bros?
Batman Joker or is this like Persona Joker? Because that changes the answer. I think if it's Child Link and then it's Persona Joker, he'll lose. If it's just a fight against Joker from Batman, he'll win. For example, right? But that this is just going on the idea that there's like just the two of them in a ring and they fight to the death, and then he moves on. If Joker has time to plan, then Link will lose. But that's the assumption that is Child Link. That's the thing too. It's like which Link?
and if we go with like Breath
don't
of the
know.
Wild Link, like in the game Breath of the Wild Link, he wins everything because he could die like 4 times and still get back up.
Yeah, he's got Mipha's grace. That all the champions' abilities
And
give him
fairies.
a good edge,
Presumably.
and fairies. So you can
And
usually carry.
Daruk's protection.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so Breath of the Wild Link wins against all. Then it says, how far could Zelda go in a gauntlet against Harley Quinn, Catwoman? I guess Batman Joker then, because
Yeah.
then we've got Harley Quinn, unless they just mean Kevin Smith's daughter. She's just there for some reason. No, so Zelda in a gauntlet against Harley Quinn, Catwoman, Bellatrix, and Maleficent. Zelda depends which Zelda, but for the most part, Zelda's not usually much of a fighter, right?
No, she has magic though.
She doesn't magic. That's true. That's true. She
Yeah, Twilight
is
Princess Zelda
technically a
just gave
goddess
up.
reborn.
Like as soon as Zant walked in, she just like threw her sword down. I was like, okay, you win.
Yeah, but when it came to Toe against Ganondorf, she was just like, all right, I'm gonna get light arrows and just shoot at him, but also have really bad aim. But So she's not totally
She
useless.
does have bad aim, doesn't she?
She does have bad aim, dude. she's got bad aim. Ganondorf in a gauntlet against Harry Potter, Aragorn, Spider-Man, and Luke Skywalker. I'm gonna say Ganondorf beats everyone until Luke Skywalker, and then Luke wins.
Is this before or after his hand's cut off?
I'm gonna say
I feel like he's stronger
post
with the robot
Return
hand.
of the Jedi. Yeah, he's definitely strong because it's his training is like I'm thinking like Return of the Jedi,
I just mean
end
like
of Return of the
robot
Jedi.
hand, you're automatically stronger.
You're automatically stronger, robot hand. But like Luke, say in like A New Hope, he will die very quickly to Ganondorf. But like Luke at the end of say Return of the Jedi, I think could take on Ganondorf.
What about
Actually, no.
Luke
No.
at the end of
Ganondorf, in a straight fight, Luke might win the fight, but he'll lose the war. No one can beat Ganondorf unless they
It
have
depends if there's a moon to blow
the
up.
Master Sword. You need either light arrows or the Master Sword. Otherwise, you can't kill him.
What if he just wants to grab a coffee with you?
Well, you still need.
Like, sorry, we don't have coffee on Dagobah.
We don't have. There's no coffee on Tatooine. We barely have water, man. We barely have.
Next question.
Yeah. Next question. Yes, please. You pick one, Justy.
Yes, sir. Runewolf. Again, people in the chat, give us your question so we can answer it.
Throw them in.
Since we know Monolith is working on its own Zelda game, technically we don't.
I was going to say,
I'll
do we
continue.
know that?
Do you have any theories or
Yeah.
thoughts on how their approach would work? What would you guys want to see in the exclusive Monolith Zelda project? Also, if they made Link talk, what kind of voice do you want versus what you don't?
I don't think we need him to talk. I don't want him to talk. We don't know Monolith is working on a Zelda project, right? Though, like, well, we know
they're working
doing
on
Xenoblade.
something Zelda.
Sure, but I always assumed that just meant they were assisting with Breath of the Wild's sequel, just like they did with the first game.
I'm of the thought that they wouldn't have made it an official Zelda team and made a big announcement about it if they weren't doing something. Like if everything was just going to stay the same and they just continued helping on Breath of the Wild 2, then why make it a big deal? I feel like you come out and say they're an official Zelda team, they're hiring more people to make it. Yeah. That way they can be like, here's their own Zelda thing. I don't think they would have them doing a remake.
Okay.
I could see them taking, because they're already experienced in the Breath of the Wild engine. So like if they had a smaller game, like Ocarina of Time or even Twilight Princess by today's standard, be a smaller game. Like a game somewhere between that size that uses the Breath of the Wild engine, but more in a traditional Zelda type of way. I could see that. Or Nintendo's just like, we need more studios to port these older games. Here's Phantom Hourglass.
Oh. They could do better than Phantom Hourglass. Give that to Grezzo. That's kind of their wheelhouse, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I have any other thoughts on that.
Right,
Aaron super chatted us. Thank you for the super chat, Aaron. Preach. Aaron said, would you want a multiplayer Zelda game to bring back the Four Sword or use a new concept? Well, I'm down for Four Sword.
The inventor of the Four Sword, or not the inventor, but the person behind the game directing those games is the one working on Breath of the Wild now. Mr. Fujibayashi. So
Right.
Nintendo kind of stole him from Capcom. I could see him doing it as a DLC item, just like the big Goron sword was in Breath of the Wild. That's how I would see it coming back.
Yeah.
Just be like, it's in the game, but it's not canon, like Wolf Link.
But if they were to bring it back for like they made a new multiplayer Zelda game, and it's the Four Sword,
I think
like I didn't. One of the things I didn't like about Triforce Heroes is like the setup for like, ooh, you have to fit this physical criteria to be one of the heroes for this trial. You need to have long hair and pointy ears, or whatever it was, and like it was just like, okay, so you assemble three people who kind of look identical, and then that's your explanation for why there's three links. It was like really weird. The Four Sword had sort of like a canon lore explanation for why you had multiple links, and I like that. And it was a cool concept. And then they were able to use that in spoilers for a very old game for Minish Cap to tie it into and have it even still work in a single player game, right? So, I'd like the Four Sword back. I also think the Four Sword games were more fun than Triforce Heroes. So,
I would like to
I
see.
think the best. Sorry, I think that the best case or the best option would be to take the route of like Four Sword Adventures, which had great multiplayer, but is still digestible and still doable as a single player game. Whereas like the first Four Swords, not really, and Triforce Heroes was technically playable single player, but it was not a good time. Like, it wasn't very fun to play single player. So that I think I think Four Swords Adventures on the GameCube struck that perfect balance with how they did that, with their approach to that. So, but sorry, Jesse.
I was just going to say, I would love a 3D styled Four Swords game.
Yeah.
There was, what was it? There was a rumor that Nintendo started a Four Swords or Four Swords Adventures remake or port for the 3DS, which ended up becoming Triforce Heroes. But I read an interview when they were talking about Breath of the Wild that they never started it. They just had the idea or the plan to do it. And then they ended up going with Triforce Heroes, and it was, I forgot the specific person's name, but they, for some reason, just liked the idea of three links working together. It was brought over from another game that was supposed to be like 3-player online. I always assumed that because Nintendo servers are really bad, that if they would have had 4-player online, then as bad of an experience as Triforce Heroes already was, then it would have been even worse.
Oh no.
But it maybe worked out well with the anniversary edition of Four Swords, which that was online, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, I think it would be something cool if like in Breath of the Wild 2, if you get the Four Sword as a weapon or something, and or the 𝗶𝗆ri blade as it starts out, right?
Yeah, it's the 𝗶𝗆ri blade initially, and then you sort of forge it into the Four Sword.
So like instead of charging it up like a normal spin attack with the normal sword or the master sword, if whenever you charged it up, it like made copies of yourself and then did some weird attack. Like when you're playing as 𝗵𝗃 in Age of Calamity, how she can like make copies of herself.
Yeah. Oh, those copies are so good, so useful. Yeah, that's a good point. That would be cool. That would be really cool.
And just like the longer you charge up the attack, the more copies you get. So I
Mm,
think that would be a cool.
yeah.
I think that is the most realistic scenario, but they could always do something with it. I don't know. It'd be cool to see 𝗏𝗏 in 3D as well.
Yeah, that's true. 𝗏𝗏 is a really cool villain, I think, and underutilized.
He's a
You know?
wind sage, right? Is that
He's like a he's a wind no he's a Picori. He's a Minish. Who
a member of the
was
Wind
studying
Tribe?
under. There is the Wind Tribe, but he wasn't part of the Wind Tribe. He was a Minish who went a little mad with power.
And then he
Shall
grew
we
up.
say?
Yes,
He became
we
a
have
giant
no
eyeball
leaks.
man. Mm-hmm.
We talked about debunking the newest rumor that was out there earlier, but that's it. There's no leaks. Do you have any leaks, Daniel?
Well,
How are your
had,
faucets doing?
yeah, I was just gonna make that joke. I had a drippy faucet, but I fixed it. So yeah, we don't have the leak. We're not insiders. And even if we were, that wouldn't mean we knew anything technically.
Yeah. Because apparently
Mhm.
even when Nintendo themselves tell you something, it doesn't even happen, and they break your heart, and you just throw away your whole July.
It hurts, but yes, that's true. That's exactly how it works. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
𝗏𝗏 took
it, Aaron.
𝗏𝗏's
𝗏𝗏 took
magic
𝗏𝗏's
hat and
magic
continued
hat.
to grow in power. Or 𝗏𝗏.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's
Yeah,
do
then
the
he
final
became
question.
a magic hat. Or 𝗏𝗏 became a magic hat. What a fate! You have your hat stolen, and then you become a hat.
Merrick says, "No, man. I mean, you know stuff. We are hungry. We don't know. Like we joke around all the time that we don't know anyone who. Obviously, we have people on that know or work at Nintendo or work on Zelda games a lot, but we don't talk to them about Zelda. Like if you looked at all of the DMs that I have with Joe, for example, nothing about Zelda. It's all about wrestling and Wario farting.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we talk about rumors a lot, but I think the majority of rumors that we talk about are us being like, "This is probably fake. It's
Yeah.
probably not real." just put that out there. Yeah.
Last year there was a lot of stuff that we talked about that ended up mostly being true, but no emails this year. Maybe Nintendo was just like, "Hey, bye."
Hey, bye.
Yeah.
Maybe
that was because like that. Remember I was telling you like I thought like I think Nintendo's their ninjas are messaging me because like we got some stuff right, and now for some reason Nintendo's emailing me. They're having me sign this thing. I think they're having me sign it so we can't talk about it.
Yeah.
Do you remember I was freaking out about it? I was like, this sounds too
remember.
good to be true. I think they're just trying to catch me.
Nick in that chat asked about Majora's Mask not being in the Direct last week. Not sure. I thought it should have been in the Direct last week, but they did drop a trailer earlier today, so it's not like they've forgotten. And they dropped a trailer and a release date, which is next Friday. So I guess they just wanted to give it its own little thing. Maybe they didn't want it overshadowing anything or being overshadowed or something like that. I don't know. Just my guess. Thanks, Nick.
Do you want to take the final question from the Google Doc, Daniel? Unless someone else in chat puts one.
Which one? Or you want me to pick a specific one? Or
No.
just
Any in the
Wait,
Google Doc. Yes.
Are there 22 pages of these? Have we just been not deleting things and there's just it was
like a few weeks ago.
Going.
I did a giveaway for eShop card, and the way that you would enter it would be submitting a Zelda question on a specific video. So I just copied and pasted all because there was like hundreds of questions because everyone's like, I want an eShop card.
Well, who doesn't?
Yeah.
Well, this is not updated because we definitely answered this
Well,
question.
here's one from Tanika.
Go.
Question: do you think Breath of the Wild 2
Great.
will have a companion? And if so, how do you think it would work? I don't think
It's the hand, but then to talk to Link, Link just does this, and the hand goes, "Hey Link, don't you think we should go investigate that island in the sky?" No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Please, Jesse, please tell us your genuine thoughts.
I think it'll be like a gameplay mechanic to where you'll get abilities or rune effects.
Right.
Maybe like you can, because we just see like the brace thing that it's in. Maybe like it can be empowered with different runes as well, but I don't think it'll be like a companion. I think it'll be a companion as much as 𝗵 was a companion in Breath of the Wild. We're like, technically, yeah,
right.
it's a companion. They're there, but only for like part of a cutscene. And then Wolf Link was technically your companion, who originally was just apparently supposed to just be a normal dog, but they wanted it to do a bunch of different stuff that was too hard to program, apparently. So they were like, well, just make it optional then.
Well, having a pet dog companion is a cool idea, in my opinion. Even if he does spoil any sneaking ideas that he just runs in, and I'm like, I was gonna sneak up on those guys, but
yeah, you should be able to use the
Breath of the
D-pad
Wild's
to like control,
like issue commands, or
like stay, sneak.
You can tell him to
attack,
stay,
defend,
but that's it. You can tell him to stay or call him to you, and that's it. I think Breath of the Wild kind of proves you don't need a companion character, though, and I wouldn't want them to include one just for the sake of it. It would need to be something that either has story sort of driven purpose or contributes something interesting to the gameplay. And I don't, just based on what we've seen, I don't think there's gonna be a companion character. No,
I think you'll have a companion character as much as Breath of the Wild with the champions, to where like, not the champions descendants or whatever they are, the new champions.
Right, they're kind of temporary allies. During like certain missions. Yeah,
like they help you out in the same way that Wind Waker, you had certain dungeons where you had the new sage come along and help you through it. I think it might be situations like that at times, to where Yunobo will help you out again, stuff like that. But mostly, I think Zelda would be the closest to a companion.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair.
Like,
that's fair.
Multiple smaller companions as opposed to one Navi or Midna that's just with you the whole time.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's I think you hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone knew, it would be Daniel. Did you watch the newest video I put out like the other day? I gave you a little
one where you said I promised someone a hug, where I promised the hug to
if they got the reason you and Miyamoto had your breakup.
Right.
What did you say? I haven't read the comments.
You haven't read it?
No,
oh, shoot,
I've not read any of those comments.
Like, I promised a hug to nobody or something like that. I'll find it, actually. The one you put up 2 days ago, right?
The only way to get hugs from Daniel
no hugs to anybody.
You get... Were there any funny comments of like what you did to ruin the dinner with Miyamoto?
No, not really. I'm just scrolling through them, and no, they're...
Oh.
Yeah.
Usually I read and like and heart all the comments, but for some reason that day I was just like, I feel like there's just going to be a bunch of rude people.
My favorite is Natsu wrote, "Double Greg death clips. Dang. I appreciate it." And I just put a couple crying emojis. Why must Greg die? Yeah.
Dr. Trim said, I would love a return to the Wind Waker style companion controlling another character with special abilities.
I think if they did that, they should make it Zelda then,
Yeah.
and just like have her in like some dungeons or some scenarios where you can do that.
All right,
I thought Wind Waker's approach to it was really good. I agree.
Mr. What they need to do is copy how it worked in 𝗙𝗵𝗃𝗄𝗃 belly, but for the whole game.
Right, where you just throw her at your enemies and she's the most powerful weapon.
No, so
Yeah.
Daniel, it is midnight at the moment.
Midnight.
So, for everyone who is just enamored by your left eyeball, where could they see more of your left eyeball?
Why the left one? That's the one with the curved lens. I've got astigmatism. It's my worst one. It's my worst eye.
Maybe they just have so much empathy that they're just like,
that's my. They see my imperfections. And they think, oh wow, this guy can't see traffic lights super well. Yes, but if you want to find me or listen to me talk or watch some content that I make, you can find all my socials in the description below. Everything is 𝗏𝗃_𝗏𝗃. That's 𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, as in there's a captain. Oh my gosh, we'll just abbreviate that. And oh, actually, he's a burger. Actually, that's my dad. So 𝗏𝗃_𝗏𝗀. And I make Zelda videos sometimes. In fact, I have a Zelda video coming out tomorrow.
no way.
I do. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time is a premiere for my next dungeon design video, because I have a series where I'm looking through and examining every single dungeon in the Zelda series. That's the aim, at least. And this one will be, the one that's premiering tomorrow, is the Temple of Time dungeon in Twilight Princess. It's a pretty good dungeon. It's
Previously
not my
known
favorite.
as...
There's a different temple name that it has. We talk about that. We talk about it in the video, and I'm excited to see what people think, because I spend a fair amount of time in theory territory in that video. So it's my longest dungeon video to date as well, clocking at close to 38 minutes.
Ooh.
So not quite, just a little shy of 38
That's 2
minutes.
episodes of Pokemon. That is
Sorry?
2 episodes of Pokemon.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, I guess it is, or at least almost. My previous longest one was, I think, Stone Tower Temple in Majora's Mask, which was like 36 minutes or something. Actually, I can go check, even, not that you care. 36 minutes and 42 seconds. That was the previous longest one. So that's wild.
I think
but yeah, I do other stuff as well, and we do all care, don't we? But no, it's gonna be great. I'm really happy with how it turned out. So I hope everyone's looking forward to it. But I also stream twice, sometimes 3 times a week, but usually twice a week. Every Wednesday is Breath of the Wednesday, where we stream Breath of the Wild. This last Wednesday, we just did 𝗿𝗏𝗃𝗄𝗃 song in the Champions Ballad. Going to be doing other random stuff for the next few weeks. I think I've still got a lot of time left on Breath of the Wild, honestly. It's a very long, drawn out playthrough. But also this Saturday, I'm going to be finishing up my playthrough of the Metroid Prime trilogy, which I've been streaming. We're just at the end of Prime 3 now. Once we're done that, the next weekend, I'm going to be streaming the update for Metroid Dread with the extra hard mode, where every enemy one-shots you. It's going to be a pretty brutal time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do lots of fun streams. I do lots of interesting videos, I think, not to toot my own horn. So go check me out, and hopefully you'll fall in love with my content, but not me as a person, because I'm unavailable. I'm off the market. That's me. But Jesse.
Hi.
What about you? Who are you? Have we met?
A few times.
Oh, good.
We'll be
Good.
meeting again in April.
Yes, we will. Oh, yes, we will. There will be shenanigans.
Are you? When is your next live stream? People can check out. You mentioned you have them, but I don't.
Saturday night. Saturday night. And also been streaming Pokemon on Mondays as well. So yeah, my next one is Saturday night. So the day after tomorrow.
Do you think if Elvis Presley was alive, he would be a Twitch streamer?
Yeah, maybe. Well, like if he was like still alive, like but he was really old.
No. Like he was
Or he was like
contemporary to our age.
Gotcha. Then yeah, sure. Yeah.
Like he's doing all the rock and roll stuff, but he's also
just like
maybe not
supplementary.
shaking his body on Twitch. I think that would get him banned.
Right.
But
well, no, maybe he would because like he was like pushing boundaries, you know, in his day. Like he was shaking his hips. He was seen as scandalous. So
he would be one of the people that like
crop it out. They cropped his hips.
He would be one of the people like every couple of months you hear about like it's the same person every 2 or 3 months. Like, oh, they're banned from Twitch again. We're doing this.
They banned Elvis off Twitch again. Yeah. He was wearing too low cut a top. He was playing his guitar in the hot tub, and but the kids love him. they love him. so yeah, I think he would be. People are gonna hate us for saying this for this conversation right here.
That's why they tune in.
More hate than the Rick and Morty.
If Tubes was here, she would have already left.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. So look out for April. There's a lot of cool stuff. I don't know, man. Just hi. Keep watching the videos. We appreciate it. We like talking about Zelda. We like that you show up to listen to us talk about Zelda. We have some guests lined up. They're supposed to be for this month, but maybe going into sometime next month. So that'll be interesting. We're trying to get Daniel's new favorite podcast people on.
Apparently we are.
If only we knew someone who could reach out to them for us, Daniel. If only.
But we don't. Since my falling out with Miyamoto.
Yes. No, so yeah, I don't know. I haven't been posting many videos lately because I've been doing stuff. But Daniel has also been doing stuff. It's just the stuff he's been doing contributes to more video production on his channel. So go check his out for the lack of videos on mine. And Geek has some interesting videos. She had some cool videos about Zelda music lately. And
she did a How to Train Your Dragon video the other day as well.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
It's a good one. Someone earlier asked a question that involved Harry Potter characters. I'm sure you'll love her channel because she also has Harry Potter stuff on there. And then there is 𝗵𝗵𝗃, or Kayla, who could not be here today, but we love her all the same. And you can go follow her on the Twitter and play RuneScape with her if you'd like. And
she's still playing RuneScape?
Always.
Is she?
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's everything.
That's true.
Thank you all for watching. Everyone say goodnight to Egg in the chat. We need at least
Good
3
night,
people
Egg.
to say goodnight to Egg in the chat so we can leave.
Good night, baby Egg.
Until then, knowing everything that we don't know, Daniel, what is your biggest want for Breath of the Wild?
Blacksmith who can fix my hook shot.
Yeah, like Nick in the chat says, Breath of the Wild 2, it's a brand new experience. What new experience would you like to see? I've seen some artwork someone had of Link holding onto the paraglider and like running along a wall. like
cool.
Prince of Persia or something.
Right. Like more acrobatic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just,
But it's like, why would you need to do that? You got... Like, you can climb any wall anyways.
Yeah, but it's cooler.
I like Wind Waker where he what is it called? The
like
prompt on Wind
sidles
Waker? Yeah, the sidle thing. That needs to, that needs to come back. That's what Breath of the Wild was missing. All right, everyone said goodnight to Egg. Thank you so much. I'm sure Egg appreciates it. He can stop farting on Daniel's face now.